Greetings YouTube, Sensei Israel here with part 2 of a video that's about recommending or reviewing short reviews of different books, DVDs, videotapes that are related to self-defense, to learning to fight with blades, knife arts, etc. And in part 1, I reviewed these books here, as well as these movies. Okay, these are fiction movies. And in this video, I'm going to be reviewing, these are basically instructional DVDs related to self-defense with empty hands or with a blade. Alright? The first series I'm going to recommend. This is a 5-disc set, okay? And this is basically a compilation of tutorials by the late Cestari. He was a very famous reality-based martial arts instructor. Probably one of the first guys to really, he went into traditional arts. He was very accomplished in jiu-jitsu, and from there he actually went back into more less traditional, more street stuff like bare knuckle boxing, okay, as well as old military hand-to-hand combat, the type of stuff that was developed by the British and Americans to do hand-to-hand combat against the Nazis, okay? So he took from military hand-to-hand and from bare-knuckle fighting, bare-knuckle boxing, and he combined that with jiu-jitsu, okay? And made some very deadly stuff. And this is a 5-disc set, okay? Disc number 1 is simply Fundamentals of Unarmed Combat. He teaches you basic concepts such as what he calls taking ground, which means forward momentum. Okay, and that's something directly from old military hand-to-hand combat. Number 2 is Advanced Strikes. And each of these is about an hour, 45 to an hour. Okay, so you're getting almost 5 hours. Here he does ground fighting in the third one. And this is ground fighting for the street. Even though he's an accomplished jiu-jitsu instructor, he tells you the differences. For example, on the street, when you get someone kind of your arms around their head, you can basically rip their eyeballs out. Okay, so he's not necessarily teaching submission moves. But you can tell by the way he moves on the ground, this guy could have fought in the UFC through his jiu-jitsu training. So ground fighting, third DVD. This is defense versus grabs and holds. And this is a great one because what he does is basically debunks the old-fashioned kind of canned, choreographed, if someone gets you in a bear hug, you have to do steps A, B, and C. Well, he basically gives you a much simpler and more effective response that works no matter what the hold is, okay? There's like 20, 30 different common holds. He gives you a way that you can combat those without having to memorize, 20 different canned routines that probably wouldn't work, And the last one is bare knuckle boxing. This is the type of boxing that was done in the 1800s, okay? With no gloves, nothing like that, and it was so dangerous it was actually made illegal, okay? And bare knuckle boxing is part of what I teach in my class. It's extremely deadly, and you can tell when he demonstrates the punches, there's a lot of power and snap. I mean, you could tell he knows his stuff, and he actually passed away recently. He had diabetes, so he had complications from that. But he was a deadly, deadly guy. And this set cost me about $50. I found it on Amazon. You can still find them. And, you know, $50 I thought was a great deal because that's $10 for each CD. That's a great deal. I mean, this is worth 100 or more, okay? And the price is only going to go up because it's, you know, it's a collector's item. Okay, so Carl Cestari's Fundamentals of Unarmed Combat. There are a few clips online. You know, if you don't know, a lot of people are ignorant. You know, kids today, if you don't look like a 6'5" steroid-taking pro wrestler, then they think you can't fight. But whatever, you know, I got something for the little punks. But if you're actually an intelligent, an intelligent warrior, okay, this is for you. All right, so Carl Cestari's 5-disc series. Here's a DVD, Street Blood, Knife Fighting Self-Defense. This is how to, mainly it's how to use a knife, okay? This guy, I know he looks like Indian Larry from the Chopper Show. The guy's actually a Special Forces instructor, okay? He knows his stuff, and you know, he's very, I mean, first of all, he's in extremely good shape for someone his age, and you know, I believe he was a Vietnam Special Forces instructor, but he's also trained guys for Iraq, okay? And it's a pretty good DVD. You know, it's not so much step by step. You know, he doesn't break things down as much. Like if you've seen my videos, I break things down to the level of individual moves. Like he doesn't really do that. It's more like a holistic thing. You know, he basically sets up a situation and then says, well, you have a bunch of options, and he shows different options of what you could do. But it's a pretty good DVD. It's 90 minutes long, and I believe it was around $50 from Amazon. And you know, it's not going to teach you fighting by itself. You know, it's not like a complete system or anything. But it's 90 minutes of a guy who trains, a Special Forces guy who trains soldiers in knife arts. So, you know, it's pretty good for what it is. Okay. Next one, A Cut Above with Addie Hernandez. This is the only one that I can't recommend. You know, there's nothing wrong with Addie. She's flexible and quick as a cat, okay, and very aggressive. My problem with this was simply that it was too short. It says 50 minutes. It's about 45 minutes, and you know, the price was about $50. And you know, 45 minutes for $50, it just wasn't worth it. You know, all the techniques she shows are pretty good, but it's not a complete system by any means. It's basically a few basic, you know, if someone pulls a knife on you, you know, what you should do with your knife. So it's some basic choreographed two-person forms, I would call it. And there's nothing wrong with the technique shown, but it doesn't really break it down in too much of a basic or logical fashion. So, I mean, if you've never had any training and you watched this, you'd probably think it was pretty cool, but you really wouldn't develop any much skills, you know, from watching it. So, for the price, you know, I mean, you know, if you have $50 lying around, you know, maybe you could get it, and you know, I mean, she's pretty good looking, and she goes around with a knife, and you know, I'm not saying it wasn't entertaining, but it's definitely not going to teach you much more than you could learn from certain videos on YouTube itself. Okay. Tiger and Crane, Shaolin Kung Fu. Now, me personally, you know, I feel that traditional arts are very played out and very watered down in America. You know, whether you're talking Kung Fu or the 100, 200 different types of karate, You know, I'm very skeptical of pretty much 9 out of 10 schools are bullshit. But, and it's the same with Kung Fu DVDs. Like, there's a lot of crap out there. This is the one that I found that is not crap, okay? This is very good. There's actually clips of this guy, there's actually, part of this is already on YouTube, but this is the whole DVD. You can look up Tiger and Crane and look for the one with this guy. This guy has no body fat. He's quick as lightning. He's ripped, and you can tell, you know, if he really could rip someone's freaking throat out, and you can tell when you watch it. So this is one of the few kung fu-y things I've seen that is not bullshit. So if you're interested in that, you can get this, and you can teach yourself one of the most famous forms, the Tiger and Crane form of Shaolin. Okay. And I forget how much this was. It's 55 minutes, and they have some cool application parts too, like how to use it if someone was actually attacking you. So that's the one good kung fu instructional I've found. And last, this is the Cold Steel Warrior's Edge series. You know, Knife Center is selling this for $20, okay? And it's a 3-disc set. And it's pretty much 9 hours long. So you do the math. You get 9 hours for 20 bucks. You know, this used to go for, I don't know, 60, 70, 80. But it's been out since, I think, 2003. So, you know, the price is lowered to 20. And at that price, I mean, you can't go wrong. I mean, I'm not saying, you know, it's not like the ultimate system or anything. But, I mean, I learned a lot from it. They talk about snap cuts. They talk about the palm-supported grip, footwork. I mean, you know, this is the guy who owns Cold Steel. He's a millionaire, okay? He has his own training facility, the best equipment, the best instructors. They do full contact sparring. They even wear fencing helmets so they can, you know, they can basically stab at the face and everything. They even wear hockey gloves so they can attack each other's hands during their sparring. All right, this is one of the places where I really got turned on to the idea of taking out your enemy's hands. Okay, neutralizing his ability to hold a weapon. All right, and yeah, I mean, you know, I definitely learned a lot for my $20. I mean, it's not the ultimate thing, but I mean, $20 and you get 9 hours versus the Addy tape where you get 45 minutes for $50. I mean, this is pretty much a good value, you know. If you only learned 3 or 4 things, I mean, you more than got your $20 worth, you know. I mean, a month of martial arts classes is $100 or more, so, you know. Even if you don't particularly like Cold Steel or Lynn Thompson, you know, it's not about if you would, you know, it's not about if you'd be his best friend. It's about whether you can actually learn a few techniques, no matter who the source is, okay? So for 20 bucks, definitely worth it. All right, my Warriors of Death. I hope you enjoyed these recommendations. I hope these help you out. Stay tuned for many more videos. Peace. Peace through superior firepower.